Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening this fine Wednesday, August 27, wherever you are in the world today. And welcome to the last of the summer live stream series on how to use Captivate and all the features that we have within the dashboard. So last one today, it's a good one to finish off with. It's the episode planning and research tools, which is a great way to save a lot of time on pre-production, but also help you on the post-production side as well. So lots of good stuff to go through. As usual, we'll let everybody settle in, jump into the stream. We'll probably get started around about 11:04, 11:05 a.m. my time, which is about 4 or 5 minutes from now. But drop yourself in the comments. Say hi in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what your podcast is about, etc., what you've been up to. And we'll, like I say, we'll go through that first. We'll get some introductions, a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll go into the live stream itself. So we've got Gary here, who's our head of design, who I believe is actually on holiday this week, but he's jumping into the comments. So good on you, Gary. Good to see you, mate. And yes, we're all ready to get the workflow nailed with the episode planning and research tools. Got good old David in from Amarillo, Texas, USA. I'm not going to say it's hot because it's always hot, isn't it, mate? So I'm not going to say it. I just did, but I'm not going to say it officially. But welcome, David. Good to see you here, bud. And as always, looking dapper in your suit and tie there. It is Rob. Last one, mate. Like I said in previous ones, so we may do some pop-up ones. And I know I know Ben, our head of content, has also got some growth live streams planned with special guests to come on. So, keep an eye on our emails, keep an eye on our socials for that. And if you're part of the Captivate Facebook group, keep an eye there. We'll always drop, details of that, etc. But yeah, looking forward to it. And as I mentioned, we might do some pop-ups based on some feedback. But also, we made some big announcements at the end of last week on some new features dropping Captivate's way throughout the rest of the year. Lots of big cool stuff coming. So there's definitely going to be live streams for some of these features. And maybe even Mark, our co-founder, will jump on and be running those ones. So keep an eye on these because there's some really, really good features coming down the line to all Captivate users. And obviously, we'll be doing big shouts, etc. with these coming up. Yep, and that's a good reminder, Gary. I'll drop a little banner as well at the bottom soon. But yeah, if there's any questions about this live stream, or even podcasting in general, since it's the last one, drop them in the comments as usual, and we'll pick them up. Good morning. How are you doing today? Hope you're having a good week so far. Started a podcast network for the Catholic Diocese of Amarillo. We're about to start a new podcast in September and another in January, a total of 3. That is awesome. And the cool thing with your networks is you can do feed drops, which Captivate's improving in one of our future releases. But you can do feed drops and cross promos, etc. And you get all the network analytics, etc. as well. So a network feature, awesome to hear. And that's the beauty of podcasting, right? You can do one podcast, you can do 2, 3 podcasts, you can do 10 if you want, and then have your own network and start. If you wanted to, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, start sharing that with potential other podcasters to do promo swaps, sponsors, advertisers, etc. So lots of cool stuff, lots of good stuff there. And we got John in the house, John Bridges, also looking very dapper with your jacket and shirt on there. Lots of good looking and dapper people in the comments there. I'm loving these avatars that are popping up. Hey Javier, Bordeaux. Oh, nice. I know Bordeaux obviously from the great wine region, Bordeaux. But there must be what's a really good thing? Please educate me. What's a really good thing that Bordeaux is well known for? But good to have you, Javi, and beginning your podcast next month. Awesome. Good to have you here, and hopefully the research and planning live stream that we're about to do gives you some good ideas on how to save time, certainly on the planning and production side, and then possibly, once the show is out, how to get more content coming back the way. So it's 11:04. Let's give everybody else just like another minute to jump in. I know midweek it's always difficult to jump into live streams, etc. So we'll give everybody another minute. As Gary mentioned earlier, if you do have any questions about the live stream that we go through, so the features that I'm going to go through, over the next 30, 40 minutes or so, just drop in the comments, put question at the front, and Gary will take a note of it, and I'll pick it up at the end of the live stream, and we'll go through it. I'll share the screen again if we need to go through these questions, but we'll pick them up in the Q&A at the end of the live stream, around about 30, maybe 40 minutes time, depending on how we go with the features, etc. So what I'm going to do, it's 11:05, 11:06. I'm going to start the live stream now. So like I say, quick bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll pick them up. I'm Danny Brown, head of podcaster support and experience at Captivate, and we're a hosting, distribution, monetization, and measurement platform. If you're a Captivate user, awesome. If you're not, I hope you've been enjoying these live streams just to get a feel for what Captivate offers and brings to you, the serious indie podcaster. So looking forward to that. And I'm just going to share my screen now, and we will go into the good old live stream. So I'm going to bring up the where are we? There we go. I'm going to bring up the little dummy podcast that we created for this show. There we go. That's better. So this is Chit Chat with Claire and Steve. Like I say, we just created this podcast. It's like a sort of kind of dummy podcast for the live streams. In this way, we can show you, some of the features, etc. But today's features are all going to be about the episode planning, research and planning side of things. And with Captivate, you have a whole bunch of features that you can go through. And if you've missed any of the previous live streams, we do have the live stream playlist on our YouTube channel. So once you've finished this, you can check out the playlist, and any live streams you've missed that covers all the rest of the features will be in that playlist. But today it's all about the research and planning. And the reason Captivate created research and planning was to basically follow up on our promise we have two promises to all podcasters that use Captivate. One is to save you time on the production and creation of your podcast and getting started. And two is to help you grow. So whether that looks like growing your audience, your downloads, your listeners, monetization, etc., growing your business if you use it for your business, anything like that. So if we release a feature, it's either to help you save time or help you grow. With the research and planning feature, this is all about saving you time, but also helping you grow, because it really helps you create the kind of content that your listeners are looking for, along with really optimizing your show notes and details like that to make the listening experience as well as the reading experience for any of your listeners that read the show notes or your blog post if you use a separate website, etc. Make that as full as possible that ties back to the episode. So with research and planning, you have two options. You have episode planning and you have research links. So let's have a look at episode planning first. So when you click episode planning, you can see here, I've got some episode planning details here already, but I'm just going to delete them. Okay, let's just start afresh. Let's call this a brand new clean slate. Okay, so at the moment, I don't have any episode planning details in there. So you can see here, we just give you a little blurb. Start planning your episodes with show note ideas, research links, guest information, and anything else to start building up your future episodes. And the way this works is we give you three options how to do this. So if you look down here at add episode idea, you've got a little drop down toggle here. So now you've got three options that pop up. You've got two with a little icon next to it, and that's for our AI assistant. So Captivate has our own in-house AI assistant. And if you see this little icon, that means the AI's features can be used for this particular feature. So you can see here, suggest new episodes via the AI tool, create from a prompt to the AI tool, or manually add your own episode ideas. So basically, episode planning is to help you plan ahead as to what kind of episodes you want to publish down the line and what that entails. So what kind of guest does it entail? What kind of research do you maybe have to do? What kind of talking points do you want to ask potential guests that come on? What links do you want to link out to on, news stories, articles, etc. on the web that ties back to the topic that you're talking about in this particular episode? So as I mentioned, there's three ways to do that. If you don't use our Captivate AI assistant, because that is an add-on, so if you don't use that, you'll just see the add new option here, okay? But if you've got Spark enabled on your podcast, you'll see these two little options here. So the first one I'm going to use is suggest new episodes using our AI tool. And what this does is it will look at the analytics for the previous 30 days for your podcast, as well as the content on your show that's getting the most traction, so the most listeners, the most downloads, etc. We'll also look online at some of the trending topics and trending discussions around your podcast topic and the topics that you generally publish your episodes about. And we'll pull in ideas based on that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest new episodes. And you can see here it's generating suggestions. So analyzing analytics, looking at trends, getting the episode details, but also finding potential guests for your episode. Now, if you don't have guests, obviously you can leave the guest feature out. That's not a problem. But we'll just suggest guests in case you do want to bring guests on. Because even with solo podcasts, now and again you may bring a guest on as a subject matter expert just to change up the format a little bit, maybe bonus content. So there's always the option of using that feature. So you can see here, it's given me 4 options. That's pretty cool. I only had 3 normally. But it's given me 4 options here. And actually, it's got an old one that I missed deleting earlier. So it's given me 3 options here created today on August 27. Okay. So it's looking at the art of small talk, mindfulness in everyday moments, and the hidden benefits of everyday routines. Now, obviously, these suggested titles and topics are all based on your podcast, your topic, your niche, your episode topics, etc., your guests. So this is giving me sort of 3 ideas that I could sort of check out and maybe run with for future episodes. So if I look at the top one, just go hover over the little eye icon and click that, and that will open up the idea and a little pop-out sidebar. So you can see here, the title is The Art of Small Talk, Building Connections in Everyday Life. Pretty good title, good SEO optimized title based on the topics and the niche of my podcast as well. So a good starting point. And then it's got the main talking points. So you can see here, we've provided 6 bullet points of potential talking points for this episode. So understanding the psychology behind small talk, tips for improving your small talk skills, discussing cultural differences in small talk across various countries and regions, analysing how tech and social media have changed their approach to small talk. So it's really hyper focused on your topics, but it's given a really good basis to build on to make it a really cool episode and a really interesting episode that touches on multiple topics. After that, we'll make you some guest suggestions. And again, much like every Captivate feature, we will give you information as to why we're recommending them and how to use this feature. Okay, so the first guest is Deborah Fine, who's an author and keynote speaker specializing in communication skills, particularly small talk. Okay, and there's the website, social contact information for Deborah. But we also give you some potential questions that you can ask Deborah if she agrees to appear as a guest on your podcast. So, what inspired you to write about small talk and comms? Can you share some common mistakes? How can someone who's introverted become better at small talk? So that's a great question to ask an expert in this space. So we give you some ideas on talking points. And again, you can use them or you can sort of take inspiration from them and create your own questions. And then we also mentioned Celeste Headley, who's a journalist and author of We Need to Talk. And she also specializes in conversation and communication, which makes her really, good for this particular episode. And once again, we give you some guest questions for the guest, as well as how to contact the guest that you're looking for. And all this information is available publicly online, so we're not scraping feeds or anything like that. It's just purely publicly available information that the potential guest has already shared in public. So it's all privacy. We're very big on privacy here at Captivate. Okay, so again, some good questions there. Now, if you wish, and you're fairly happy with this idea, you can then go into edit suggestion. And what the edit suggestion will do is will allow you to edit the episode idea. So again, you've got the idea title, and then you've got the talking points and the guest suggestions. So let's say we're going to go with Deborah. So I'm just going to delete out Celeste at the moment. She'll always remain there in the suggestion. Okay. And then there you've got the details for Deborah and the questions, etc. So this is the production notes. Now, these are private production notes for you and your guest, as well as your team. So if you have a team on your podcast, so maybe you have a producer, or maybe you have a researcher that normally, sources guests and books the guests, etc., you can assign team member roles, and we covered that in a previous live stream, the networking one, I believe. You can assign a team member to your podcast with their own login and their own permissions. So if they're a researcher, you might only want to give them access to the episode planning and research links, for example. If they're a producer, they would have access to the production, the episodes, all that kind of stuff. So you can assign team members to your podcast, and they can then jump into each episode idea and add their own information. So you can use this as a starting point. And this top half, these production notes, are all for you, your team. But again, you can also send this out to your guest. So if you want to give your guest like just a pre-recorded heads up, here's the topics we're going to be talking about and some questions I'm thinking of asking. Let me know if they're okay. if you normally don't go and do a pre-call with guests, etc., and you kind of run the interview cold, obviously you don't need to share this, but if you do want to share this, you can just save it, print it as a PDF, and then send that over to your guest. Okay, so this is all private for you, your team, and your guest. Down here, you'll see episode details, okay? So anything you enter here can be optionally added to your episode show notes using the episode idea details shortcode. And this ties back to the dynamic show notes feature. And again, it's in a previous live stream. So if you missed out on that one, you can always look back at that and see exactly how to use this. But this is a great way to create some of your show notes already ready for when you actually come back to publish the episode and create the episode. We'll fill out some of the details already in your show notes section, so you don't have to copy paste them from previous notes on Notion, Google Docs, etc. So anything you send down here will be going into your show notes if you convert this idea to an episode. So let me just quickly show you what that looks like. Okay, let's see you have a standard default text or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to push that in here, copy it from the Star Wars show that Gary does with Mark, our co-founder. So you can see there, this is now in the episode details section. Okay, so that's fine. I'm happy with all that top stuff. If you do have the guest already booked and you've used the Captivate booking platform, you can assign that guest via the section down here and add booking. So now, once you add the guest details to your show notes, we will pull them in from the booking form that the guest filled out, and that will also be in your show notes. So again, it's a really cool way to create excellent show notes and save you a bunch of time on the production of each episode. Research links, I'm not going to add any of them because we're going to be looking at them shortly once we've gone through the episode planning side of things. But research links are basically, linking back out to external websites that talk about the topics in the episode. So it may be a news article, maybe a entertainment story, whatever that is that you talk about in the episode. If you sort of reference another website, you can link back to that story on that website, and then your listeners can then click through and check out that information for themselves. So I'm not going to add any research links at the moment. I'm quite happy with my guest. I'm quite happy with all the details here. Okay, so I'm going to update episode idea. Now at the moment, it's still an episode idea. And now you can see there's a little icon appeared with notes. So at any time, you and your team can come back in and update the notes. So if I want to come in here and look, these are the notes that I've got so far. And as you can see, you can print it and save as a PDF and send all this over to your potential guest or send out to team members. But if I want to edit this, okay, so you can see I'm happy, got all that data here. I would just go in and edit the idea. Okay, so if I've got new talking points and your team comes back in and now they add some of their notes as to what they want to talk about, or a news article that just got published the day before that really should be, pulled up for this episode, etc., they can come in and add it to the production notes here. If there's some more details about the episode that you want to add, you can then add that to your episode details, and that will be updated accordingly. So again, I'm going to update episode idea. Now it comes to the creation of the episode. So I'm happy with the idea and everything that I've got for this. So I want to create the episode now. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to convert this. You'll notice that the icon has changed. If it's an episode idea that's still to be used as edited, etc., it will keep the little icon. So you can view it anytime. When you've actually added details to the episode planning section and what we've just done, in the previous steps, that will then open up this little icon, which is convert to idea. So I'm going to click on that. And what that does is it opens the episode publishing screen on Captivate. So now you can see you've got episode show notes, etc. You just want to add my file. So I want to, and whatever the title of the episode is, then you can add the shortcodes. So if you remember the episode idea title and details, I just want the episode idea details. Okay, so that's a shortcode. And I'm going to keep this dynamic. So if I do need to change any of this information, I can go back, edit it, and then anywhere I've got that information on previous episodes, Captivate will update and make sure you've got the latest changes to the episode show notes. Okay, so I'm just going to episode idea details. I'm going to add the shortcode there. Episode number, let's call it episode 5. I'm not sure what the episode number is. I'm going to remove my content for my dynamic intro and outro. I don't want it this episode. And then I would normally go through and add all the rest of the details that I would normally publish for this episode. So individual artwork, YouTube video, I've got a video version of the episode, chapters, transcripts, etc. All the cool stuff that you would normally do, for creating an episode. And as you can see here, I've already got my guest name and booking dates because that's been pre-booked, and recorded for this particular guest. So that's good. Now, if I wanted to add the guest details, because I already have them, under the show note, so we've got the episode ID details here. Under there, I'm going to add short codes, and you can see that I've got my guest information here. So I'm just going to add guest name, and then I'm going to add guest bio. I'm just going to leave it at that. Normally, you can use guest Instagram, social links, URL, etc. But I'm just going to use name and bio for this particular episode. Okay, so now I've got the episode ID or details, the guest name, and the guest bio. So now I'm ready to update the episode. Okay, and I'm going to publish that. Okay, so there we go here. You can see here, 27th of August. It's been published. So now, if we go through to the website, let's open that up. Okay, and share this tab. You can see here, there's all the stuff that we created prior in the episode planning section. So I've got the blurb at the top, I've got the show note details, I've got the guest information here. So all good to go with that one. Let's go back in. Okay, so that's with Spark. If you go back to episode planning and add episode idea, you can still use the AI tool, but now you can do it from a prompt. So if I do it from a prompt, this is kind of similar to most other AI tools that you use when you prompt it as to, what topics that you want to discuss, etc. So a topic that I want to discuss, let's say, let's just say Star Wars TV shows. Okay. And talking points, best actors, best directors. And this is like really basic. Obviously, you can be a lot more, detailed on the information you're putting in here. And then talk about, I'm going to leave it at that, best actors, best directors. And then, do I want to add guest suggestions? Well, yeah, I do actually. So now I've got the topic and the talking points, and I've got guest suggestions. So once again, generate the AI episode idea. Okay, so that's generating, much like it did the previous version. But with this option, it only generates one idea because you're basically telling it a prompt for an episode, as opposed to asking it to suggest up to 3 episodes, for you to use down the line. So you can see here the force of storytelling Star Wars TV shows. Here's your talking points. So you've got, again, a bunch of talking points here you can, go through. Guest suggestions. You got Dave Filoni, who's very obviously well known. He's like head of Lucasfilm now, I believe. Not Lucasfilm, but Lucasfilm TV, or in charge of all the Star Wars productions. So Dave would be there. And Ashley Eckstein, who did the voice of Ahsoka Tano, one of the main characters in the animated shows, and also she's got her own live action TV show now. So Ashley Eckstein be a great guest, very well versed in Star Wars lore and TV, and played one of the main characters in the animated TV shows. So good options there. And again, you've got the contact details and questions, and what does the Star Wars fandom mean to you personally? Nice way to get Ahsoka's view. Ashley, I'm going to call her Ahsoka. Ashley's view on the fandom. Again, you've got episode details here that would be converted, etc., to the show notes. You get the guest bookings if you've already got them guests assigned, and then the research link. So much like what we did previously, it's all the same there. It's just giving you a single episode idea as opposed to multiple ones. So I'm going to update that, and now you can see I've got that here, and it's not got the little icon because that is one. Even though I used the AI tool to give me an idea, it was still kind of like a manual prompt, if you like, into the AI tool. Okay, so that's the 4 that we've got so far. And then the final one is just manually add new. And the manually add new, it's essentially what the episode planning feature was prior to us releasing our own in-house AI tool. And this is basically where you come in, same kind of idea. So add a potential title for the episode. Okay. And then production notes. Once again, this is private to you and your team and or your guest. So any things that you want this particular episode to touch on. So questions, topics, references, etc. Then you've got episode details. So again, anything in here would be for your show notes. Choose a guest, again, if you've got any guests here. And then research links. If you've already used the research link feature and got that added, then you can choose them for the episode. So at the moment, I don't have research links because we've not really covered that yet. So I'm just going to create the episode idea. And now I've got that set for a future episode. Okay. So once again, you're starting to see we've got a few potential episodes that we can, plan out, record, create, publish, etc., all based on pre-production, and it saves you a lot of time. This was like actually when we released this. I think this was about maybe 3 years ago. Actually, we released the first version of this. It was a really popular feature right away, and then with the new AI assistant, even better because obviously it looks back on your own episodes, your own content, and ties it to the analytics for the last 30 days. So it's really looking at what content is, resonating with your audience to help you kind of repeat that success, if you like, with future episodes, topics, guests, questions, etc. So that's the episode planning from creating an episode idea. Okay. Then we've got the research links. So let's have a look at the research links now. So if you look down here, it's under the same section, so research and planning. Now we've got research links. So at the moment, I don't have any research links because I want this to be sort of kind of from new, so you can see exactly how it's used and how to grab research links. So any links you've saved from browsing the web are here. Use them when creating your episode ideas or in your show notes when publishing a new episode. So you can do it as part of a default template, or you can add manually one by one as you create episodes. Entirely up to you, whatever your workflow looks like, whatever your preference is. Now, to use research links, you have to install the Captivate research browser extension. And this is, I'm pretty sure it's off for most browsers, so Chrome, Firefox, Edge, I believe, maybe not Safari, because that's kind of weird with RSS feeds and stuff like that. But what you do, so I use Chrome, so just give you an idea of what that's like. If you go to the Chrome Web Store and just type in Captivate, you'll see Captivate Podcast Research Tool. Okay, so click the result, and you can see here, I've already got it installed, but all you would have, like a normal extension, if you've not got it installed already, you would just click Add to Browser or Install, whatever the verbiage is these days, and that will add it to your browser tabs, and then you can choose to pin that or not to make it really simple to use. But I've got it already installed, and just to give you an idea of what it looks like, this is, so you log into your Captivate dashboard. You'll see this pop up when you first install it. Log into your Captivate dashboard, and then that will connect the browser extension to your podcast. Okay, and if you've got multiple podcasts, it's all based on your account. So if you've got multiple podcasts, the browser extension will work for all the podcasts if you're using research links. Okay, so that's the first step. And then when you're using it, because sometimes I know when live streaming, the screen that's being shared doesn't always show drop downs and browser extensions, etc. So when you are using it and you click it, it gives you the podcast to choose from. So the show that you want to add the link to. We will pull in the URL of the page that you're on and also a title. So whatever the author of the article has put as the title, we will pull that in. And you also have like a little notes section where you can add your own notes, and that will be included as part of the research link. So that's how you install the browser extension. Okay. Once it's installed, you can then use it. So the way to use it, at the moment, you don't have any research links. I don't have any research links added. I can either use the browser extension, or if you don't want to use a browser extension, you can add them manually. Okay. But I'm going to add a browser extension one, and hopefully it will show on the live stream. As I mentioned, sometimes browser extensions don't pop up when in use, but I'm going to go over to Pod News, okay, and I'm going to get the latest article. So this article was published today. It's got a bunch of news in the podcast industry. I would click my little browser extension I have in my tabs, and then my little pop-up appears. And again, apologies if this doesn't appear, but it allows you to choose which podcast you want to add this to. It's got the URL and it's got the label, like the article title for the show or the link. Then you can add some notes if you wish, and then add link. Okay, so now that link has been added. So I'm just going to come back into the dashboard and refresh this page. And you can see here the link has been added. And again, apologies if that pop-up didn't appear on the live stream screen. But you can see here it pulls in information that you've grabbed via the extension, like the browser extension. So you can see here, it's got more data about your podcast in one place. It's got the link of the article and when it was added. Now you can edit this at any time as well. If you want to give it a different label for your show notes, because anything that appears here appears in your episode show notes when you add the research link to that episode. Okay, so you can update the label and you can update your notes, and you can choose which episodes to add that to. So if you've got already episodes published that kind of talk to the topic of this particular article that you've linked to, you can go in there and you can add it to even your episode ideas and published episodes. Okay, and then update research link, and that's all being updated. Now, because I've added that to prior episodes, that's become a used research link. So it'll come off, it'll disappear from your current research link displays, but just toggle this on here, hide or, view use research links, and you can see it right away. Okay, so I'm going to hide that again. Now, again, you can add new research link manually. So as I mentioned, you can either use the Chrome extension browser, or if you prefer just to do it manually in the dashboard, you can do that, not a problem. So let's go to add new research link. And again, hopefully this little pop-up's appeared. I'm going to grab the URL from an episode of Mark and Gary's show. So I'm going to add the URL here, and that will then pull in the title of that page. So it's Star Wars Celebration 2025 recap. And again, I can put in some verbiage here and add research link. Now, because I haven't used this link yet, it's still visible here. And again, you can start adding as many research links as you want and use them on episodes multiple times, like one per episode, but you can use them multiple times on different episodes, for example. When you've got the research links that you're looking to use, again, you can either use that when you're doing an episode planning idea. So let's go back to planning just briefly and look at an episode that hasn't had a conversion to an episode yet. So let's look at this one. So same idea again. It's got the title, the notes, etc. I'm going to add the short code. Well, the short code would go there, sorry. I'm not going to add it here. And I'm going to add a saved research link. Okay, so you can see here, I've got the link that I've just pulled in. So I'm going to add that. But I might want to add the research link that I've had previously. So again, you can toggle previous links on and off, and you'll see here more data about your podcast. Now I've got the pod news link as well as the Spark of Rebellion link. So I can use links from previous episodes, etc., in new ones. Really easy way to do. And then just update episode idea. So now that's turned into a more complete episode, ready to convert into an actual episode. Okay? But the same goes when you're actually updating and creating episodes on their own. So let's go to this episode here. Actually, you know what? Let's go to create new episode. Okay, so I'm going to use content library, and I'm going to use this file here. Okay, I'm going to give title, and I'm going to use whatever show notes I've got. I'm going to add that here. So I'm starting to create my episode here, and then this is where you'd obviously add any dynamic content, etc. But what you're looking for here is the research links. Okay, so you can see on the external references and links here. Okay, so if you scroll down the page, and again, you can open up and close these sections down. So it just makes it really easy for you to concentrate on the sections of the episode publishing page that you want to focus on. But you can see here, do you want to add any research links? Okay, so again, you can add research links that you've saved. So I'm going to add this Star Wars one in. Okay, but you can also add research links directly if you wanted to do that during the episode. So let me just grab a link for you. Okay, here we go. So if I were to add a brand new link, just click that, and I'd click the URL. So I'd add the URL there. And then you can see here it pulls in the title of the page. And once again, you can add a blurb there if you wish, and add research link. And so now I've got 2 links there. I'm good to go. And if you've got any membership settings set up, obviously you can choose, is this exclusive, early access, all the cool stuff with your membership settings. Okay, so I'm good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to publish episode. Now, as you can see, it's processing at the moment because I do have my intro, my default intro and outro assigned to this episode. So it's just processing that information, currently. But you can see here it's now published, so that's awesome. Everything's good there. So if I now look at this episode, let's see if the web page is updated yet. Yeah, it is. Cool. So you can see here, mention this episode, show the blurbs. Okay, so we're all good. And now mention this episode. We need to add the link. Sorry, let's go back briefly. My bad. Okay, back to this episode. What I didn't do was add the research links. So when you use research links, you just need to add the shortcode to show that the research links are included. Okay, so there you go. Go up to the shortcode section over here in your episode editor, and then just choose the shortcode that you want to insert. In this case, it's research links. Just make sure you do that. But there's a good way to not forget that, and that's creating a default template that has a research link as part of the template. So every time you create a new episode, that research link will be included. The research link shortcode will be included in your show notes. So you won't forget that. And if you don't use any research links, we won't display that section. It's simple as that. So it's a nice way for you to make sure, like I just did there, don't forget the research links shortcode to display the research links. So that would then be added to the website once the research links pulled through. Just takes a little bit longer to propagate for the change in the feed, etc. But you can see that it's all done, once you've got that. So that's the research links section. Okay, there's also a couple of little other options as well. If you go to podcast settings, okay, let's go back quickly to the show notes section. As I say, we've covered this in a previous episode, a previous live stream, but it's a nice way, just like a reminder. As I mentioned, you can set research links as a set part of your template. Okay, so if you've got a template set up and you've got blocks already added to it, so you can see here I've got blocks with affiliates, footer, and social accounts. But I'm just going to go to the default template. Okay, so let's go to the default template. You can see here, this is the default show notes one. So I'm going to set this as a default template right now. Okay, and I've got the blurb here, fall under socials, that's all the footer, etc. What I'm going to add is just underneath here, because I always leave a little blank space at the top for any manual copy I want to add to the episode. But underneath here, where it's got my boilerplate, if you like, all my default footer, I'm just going to go to my shortcodes and add research links in here. Okay, so you can see I've got that added now, set as default, and update the show notes template. So that's now been updated. So now if I go to create new episode, okay, you can see here, it's now added that default template that I just updated with the research links added to the episode show notes. So now if I do add any research links to the show notes, any research links via the external link section down here, they will automatically be pulled into the research links section on the episode show notes. So again, it's a good way to like act as a safeguard in case you forget to add the shortcode manually. And again, if you don't select any research links to be highlighted for this episode, this shortcode won't display on the final episode show notes. So you don't even have to worry about that part. So it's all good on that side. Okay. But one of the other options that you do have, which is kind of cool to use, and again, it's really just sort of for making your show notes just that little bit more optimized and prettier, for your listeners. If you go to podcast settings, and you'll see here across the tab area, you've got research and planning. So if I hit research and planning, you've got a couple of options here that you can do for your episode planning and research notes. So do you want to show used research links by default? This is entirely up to you. So when you're creating episodes or when you're creating new research links, you remember that when I actually added a research link to an existing episode, it was pulled off the current research link list and pushed into the past or used research links list. If you want to show all the research links that you've ever pulled into Captivate, you can just toggle this to show. And then when you're creating a new research link or you're creating a new episode and adding a new research link from there or adding an existing research link to your episode, you can choose from ones you've already used as well and view all these ones. So this is entirely up to yourself. If you've got a lot of research links, then that list can start to get pretty bulky. So you might want to just hide that and then use, new ones or search for existing ones and add these ones. Okay. And then you can also add a custom notes header. So what I tend to do here is For research links, instead of just dropping the links in, I like to just have like a little header that says further reading for this episode or mentioned in this episode, for example. And what that will do is, I'm going to save changes. Okay. What that will do is anytime you use research links, it will add this little blurb to the episode. So if I just hop over to another podcast briefly, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. All right. So let's just go to the good old 5 random questions. And here we go. So I'm going to go to an episode here, and you'll see down here, I've got 2 research links in view or in use for this episode. Okay. So I've got the link and the title down here, but this is the title, the header, like the show notes header that I just showed you, that will be published to every episode show note if a research link is in use. So obviously you can change this based on what your show is. So if you've got videos that you're linking to, further viewing or watch the video version of this episode and link to that episode, any kind of thing like that, you can just really optimize it and change it up yourself. And anything that you put in here under the custom show notes header is what will then appear above your research links when you use them on that particular episode. Okay, so really easy way to save a bunch of time on your production side, but then help you grow your podcast as well by suggesting topics, guests, talking points, etc., based on what we know to be successful for your podcast so far, looking at analytics, as well as, topics online that are trending about this. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to hop back in here. So hopefully that's that's showing you like how to use the research and planning tools and how it really saves you time on the production side, but as I mentioned, on the growth side as well. So I'm just going to have a look. Let's have a look. So yeah, if there's any questions, it doesn't look like there's any questions coming, so that's kind of cool. But if you do have any questions, like I say, if you've got any questions about this particular live stream or podcast in general, we've got about just over 15 minutes to go for that. Being in Hawaii in October, a big Parkinson's and movement disorders meeting to gather interviews. Tough work. I can imagine that would be tough, actually, but a really important topic, obviously. So safe travels to Hawaii. Hopefully the event goes well, and the episodes, etc., that you have from that, come across well. But yeah, like I mentioned, we have about maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. So if you have any questions about the feature, just drop them in, and happy to go back and jump in, bring up the screen again, and go through it with you. But yeah, I mean, and that's it at the end of the day, Javi. It is practice. I mean, I've been at Captivate, funnily enough, in 4 days' time. So on September, 5 days, I guess, September 1st, I'll have been part of the Captivate team for 5 years. And then in October, I've been a Captivate user for 6 years. So it does, with the features that we have, it's one of the reasons we do this live stream. It's to go through all the features that we do have, because we know we've got a lot of features, because we want to make it, as full of an experience for you, the podcaster, that can then, you can then transfer that to your listeners. So every feature that we release kind of does talk to each other, and it's a matter of, okay, what feature do I need to learn first? Is it about publishing? Is it about promotion? Is it about using research links? Is it about episode planning to save some time there? So then if I can save time on the production side, I can then spend more time on the recording side and the promoting side, which again is great for helping you grow and helping your growth, etc. But yeah, as Gary mentions, practice and consistency, which is a hard word to say. Consistency is key. That's the way that you're going to become a better podcaster, as good a podcaster as you can be, and deliver the kind of content that you want to deliver and create that your audience also wants to listen to or watch if you do video. So it's not just audio, obviously. So I'm going to start wrapping up soon, but what I'm going to do just briefly, just in case you missed the announcement, I'm going to bring up the Captivate site. I'm going to share the screen for you. So as I mentioned last week, on Friday, we made a big announcement of some new features coming Captivate's way between now and the end of the year. So you can see here, here are the features here, and there's a full blog post that you can link, you can click through and get all the details. But there's 4 main feature releases that we'll be pushing out between now and the end of the year into early next year. So you've got Captivate Studio, which is remote podcast recording. So you can do multi-person online with high quality audio. Just hit record and Captivate will take care of the rest. And because it's in-house with Captivate, obviously it makes it super easy to use with the guest booking feature and to use with the episode planning and what we've just gone over now, and then publishing your episodes directly from your recordings if you wanted to do that. So that opens up for beta on October the 5th. Next year, so around about late spring time, maybe into early summer, we'll also be releasing our podcast editing platform. So this will be, similar to the, popular DAWs or editing workstations. You can edit, obviously tidy up your audio, enhance it. You can master the audio tracks. You can edit the transcript via the editing platform. So it's all done again in-house. So it'll make sure that your audio sounds as good as it can. So, stuff like noise reduction, for example, including that within your Captivate dashboard. Beta for that opens up on Q2 next year. So again, late spring, maybe early summer, we'll be opening up the beta for that. Coming up very soon though, in October or October 6th, is our Amy campaign management. So Amy is our in-house dynamic insertion tool, dynamic content platform, where you can add pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll dynamic content to your episodes. So it's great for, promo swaps, sponsor messages, in-house announcements, whatever you want to use it for. Because it's dynamic, you can replace or remove it at any time, and it makes sure that it keeps your episode up to date. So let's say you have a dynamic piece of content as a mid-roll, and let's say you're a news podcast or a podcast that covers, pop culture. So the news on that topic is changing pretty regularly. If something changes based on a story you've covered previously, and you've got that feature as a mid-roll, you can just go back with a new recording of a mid-roll snippet and replace the older version. So again, it's a really easy way to set that up. But with campaign management, you can now time these campaigns and time these mid-rolls, etc., and how long they run for. So again, you can choose, do I wait till I've got, say, 5,000 downloads, 10,000 impressions? Have I got it? Do I want to choose it for the summer period? So once July, let's say July 31st is done, on August 1, it is replaced with a new ad or a new sponsor message. So that will be Amy campaign management, and that will include analytics for your dynamic content to see how it's doing. Then on October 15th, so just over a week later, we will be doing paid feed drops. So with the Captivate network feature, we have feed drops. And basically that's a way to take one episode from a podcast that you have and drop that into the RSS feed of another podcast that you own on the network. With the paid feed drops, so you can open up your network and open up your feed to other podcasters within the Captivate ecosystem and allow them to pay you, much like a sponsor would, if you like, to pay you to drop their feed or their drop and their sponsor message, if you like, into your feed. So it's a really cool way to add another monetization option to your Captivate experience, along with memberships, tips, premium content, early access, etc. And then at the end of the year, just prior to breaking up for the holidays, so on December 15, we'll be releasing our own Captivate ads platform. And again, this will all be in-house. And this allows you to automate your ad campaigns, work with sponsors, connect with advertisers, and run ads automatically within your podcast and episodes. And you don't have to have massive amounts of downloads for this. This is opening up to every level of podcaster. We're making it really easy to work with advertisers that are right for your audience and right for your top podcast and topics, and bring them in-house to work with you. And again, if you tie that to your paid feed drops and your campaign management, you can really optimize the monetization options that are going to be open to you, along with the existing ones that we have, like I mentioned, memberships, tips, private feeds, private content, etc. So really cool features coming out between now and the end of the year. As I mentioned, if you missed the main announcement, if you go to the Captivate.fm homepage and just scroll down a little bit to see this section, you can then click through and read the full blog post. that's got all the details about every option. And then we'll be releasing information how to join the beta and when it's opening up, fairly soon. So again, keep your eye on our socials. If you're already subscribed to our newsletter, you'll get updates on that anyway. And as I mentioned, Mark will probably be doing some live streams very soon regarding that. Okay. Let's have a look. So we've got questions. It looks like Gary's answered them actually. So let's have a look. We'll show also video and can the audio. So yeah, as Gary mentioned, initial version will be audio only because Captivate is audio only. But that's not to say that we won't do the video editing down the line in a future update. But yeah, as Gary mentions, at the moment it'll be audio only, and then you can see guests and co-creators while you're recording. So you will get the screen. I do this at the moment using Boomcaster, where I'm an audio only podcast, but I like to have the video up, just like basically it's a green room. It's a much more organic back and forth when you can see someone as opposed to using something like Clean Feed, which I love, but you don't see the person you're speaking to. So you're never quite sure if they've stopped talking or if you should talk or whatever. Gary started course with Brum, but I can't work to. What we've actually got, so John, we are on our help section. So we have obviously you've got the videos, which is great, but on our help section, so help.captivate.fm, we've got about, I'm going to say about 200 articles, tutorials, etc. That it's all written. There are sort of videos and GIFs and etc. screenshots, etc. used there, but primarily it's all written, so you can follow along at your own pace. We've also got a Growth Labs section within Captivate dashboard, which is free to all Captivate users, which again, it's got a whole bunch of online courses and resources for starting, growing, etc. So we've got a whole bunch there, and our support team is always around in the little chat. So the little chat icon, if you're a Captivate user, you'll see at the bottom right of your dashboard. If you're not a Captivate user, but you want to speak to our support team, on the website, on every page you go to on the website, again, the bottom right hand corner of the browser window you're on, you'll see the little icon. Just click that, ask a question. Charlie, our AI assistant, will probably give you a suggestion off the bat, but then one of the team members will jump in as well after that once we pick it up, and we can help you there. Okay, so yeah, but we've also got some great courses and resources on the Captivate site. How to start a podcast, how to launch a podcast, what's stopping you from launching a podcast. And that's like a sort of 4-question quiz to help you really, knuckle down what's stopping you from launching. And then we'll recommend, okay, based on your answers, let's go over here and start this, for example. So a whole bunch of written stuff, etc., if that's your preference for sure. Anything in the pipeline for A/B episode title testing? That's a good one, and it's something that we could do based on our AI assistant, because obviously we're suggesting titles at the moment, Rob. So we don't have that planned at the minute, but it's something that, I use A/B testing when I use Kit for my newsletter, and it's always interesting to see which one is good there. But good suggestion, and it's definitely something we can add to our feature request list, for something to look at for a future update for that. So in terms of monetization, what tools do you use for sending the money to the host? So that's Stripe Express. So basically, when you set up memberships and tips, you'll connect your Stripe account if you've got an existing one, or you'll create a new one if you don't have an existing one. If you have an existing Stripe account, once you connect Captivate, it will be as a separate channel within your main Stripe account. But we use Stripe Express, so it is a separate channel. So even though you might have an existing account, you would still have to provide some information. Am I solo? Am I a business? That kind of stuff for Stripe Express, but then you're good to go. Once you're up and running and you've got either recurring memberships or one-off tips, donations, etc. from your listeners, you can then, once you meet a threshold of $20, you can then, make a withdrawal. So you can submit a withdrawal request. We'll get pinged about that to, submit that. And because it's Stripe Express, it's all tied back to your bank anyway. That will then be processed to your bank, usually for a few business days. It's fairly quick. The first one, maybe it takes a little bit longer just because it's like anti-fraud by Stripe, but after that's really quick to do that. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm a big fan of, like, I don't like doing video podcasts or video recordings, which is why you don't see a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel apart from walkthroughs, tips, etc., where I don't have to be physically like this all the time. I don't mind live streams. Live streams are fine, but I'm not a great big video podcast fan for myself. So yeah, I'm like you. I like to have a screen in front of me, so at least I can, myself and my guests can look at each other and take take prompts if you like from facial expressions. Have I paused? Am I struggling for an answer? That kind of thing. So yeah, Shuri will be awesome for that. Okay. Um, any plans to expand? At the moment, no. Purely because Stripe is we have been looking at PayPal in the past, but PayPal changes their terms so often. It can be hard to keep up, and depending where you are in the world, there can be hefty charges for using PayPal as well. So we may look at other options. Stripe's just easy because it's the one that most third party payment gateways use. But that's not to say never. But at the moment, it would just be Stripe. And if it's not available in your country at the moment, Stripe's team are fairly good at taking feedback and pushing it out to the team. I know they recently added 4 or 5 countries earlier this year, I think, actually, for countries that weren't available initially, especially when we launched memberships, they weren't available for users to take advantage of. Now they can use it. So they are looking at expanding the country areas. Um, yeah, you can do that exactly. And Captivate, we're very strict with the dimensions because we pull it from Apple Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as you know, are very strict with dimensions. I know some hosts may take up different dimensions, and that's fine if you wish to do that, not a problem. But it can sometimes cause visual issues on podcast apps, etc. If you've got artwork that doesn't match the Apple Podcast definition or requirements, so you might see some stretch or cut off, etc. So that's why if you're adding artwork to Captivate, we are very specific about what it has to be. So square image, 3000 by 3000 pixels, usually JPEG and PNG, and about between 1 and 2 meg max. But again, whatever Apple suggests, that's what we'll kind of follow. Yep, and we do have some tutorials online at the moment when it comes to recording, as well as remote recording, I believe, which I think Ben posted or published a year or two ago. But yeah, we will be, when it comes to, especially for studio, because it's such a big feature, it's such a big feature release, we will be making sure that we'll have, maybe we'll do live streams like this that shows best practices, etc. So yeah, we'll be definitely making sure of that. And it's always a good way, like what I do with my own booking. So I use the Captivate booking form, and what I do is in the customizable info section on the booking form, or for the email that goes out afterwards anyway, I do have a breakdown of here's the technology I use. For the best option, try and use a separate mic and a separate headphones. If not, at least wired ones that maybe go into your phone, etc., as opposed to Bluetooth and all that kind of instruction. How to get set up, how to get the best settings when you use Boomcaster. So I send that out to my guests anyway, which is always a great option to do. But yeah, we'll be doing stuff like this to ensure that our podcasters that may not currently use remote features or have used it in the past but haven't used it in a while are up to speed on best practices for getting the best recording and when to use, if you've got speakers as opposed to headphones, you need to make sure you've got them dialed down or they're not coming through the speakers and causing echo. All that kind of cool stuff that I'm sure can something happen with remote recording. So I'm going to start wrapping up now. We're almost on the top of the hour. As I mentioned, this has been the last live stream in this particular summer series, and I really appreciate you for taking part, whether this is your first one, whether you've been part of the whole series since back in June, I think. Quarter of a year we've been doing this series, 13 episodes over, what was it, 13 weeks, I guess. So yeah, quarter of a year. But I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've got tips. I hope you've got some value and use from it, and it really helps you to take advantage of all the cool features that we do have in Captivate. As always, if you do get stuck or there's any questions you have as follow-up, jump into our support chat, little icon at the bottom right of the dashboard or the website if you're on the front end, and one of our team's always there to help out. We also have a whole bunch of articles and help resources at help.captivate.fm. Our playlist on our YouTube channel for this summer live stream series is on our playlist section or playlist tab. So you can go back at any time and just watch some of the previous playlists or the previous live streams that you may have missed out on. But yeah, our team's always around. As I said, we might do some quick pop-up ones based on feedback from these live streams and suggestions in the comments from previous live streams as well, which has been awesome to get. And if so, we'll always promote that ahead of time so you can jump into these. But let's just like start wrapping up. You're very welcome, and I know there's always a lot of information to go through. But it's tough to get that balance, but that's why we have like the help center and the chat option, obviously, to go a bit deeper into that with you. And you're very welcome, Dan. It's been great to see and meet you, so to speak, and get that little bit of local person take. I hope Coburg's treating you well. As always, give Jenny my love and give her our family's love next time you're in the bookstore. Hope you have a great rest of summer. And awesome. If you've got any questions, hop into the chat. Myself or the team will be able to help you out on that one. You're very welcome, Rob, and thanks for being such a valiant and frequent contributor to the discussion in the comments and taking part. And thank you very much, Gary. And thanks for, like I said, I think you're on holiday this week, if I remember. So really appreciate you jumping in, mate. I know it's dinner time now where you are. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to say thanks so much for joining me for the live stream series. Have an awesome rest of week and upcoming weekend. And whatever your podcasting goals look like, I hope you smash them and have a great rest of 2025. Till the next time, take care and keep podcasting.